So the RGB craze arguably hit its climax about a year or so ago. At this point, we have RGB SSDs, RGB power supplies, cases, motherboards, graphics cards, coolers, and RAM, insert thing I missed here. This excludes all peripherals, by the way, and at this point, to be honest, it's difficult for anything associated with RGB to stand out anymore because everything basically is. I think the original intention behind it was to allow folks to choose one or two unique colors that characterized a build, but it seems as though a majority of people are comfortable leaving things in the rainbow puke config. This in particular is a difficult thing to make look not annoying in my opinion. It requires a sort of subtle approach, one that doesn't really overwhelm the viewer, and as the title of this video suggests, I actually think Gigabyte's done just that. So what am I talking about? We flew to Miami this past weekend for Gigabyte Showcase, and full disclosure up front, our travel expenses were covered by the company, but we weren't paid anything to cover the event, and we are not being paid to create this video, so no money at all exchanged hands. I just wanted to fly us out there to show us the new stuff that they're offering. So I wanted to make this video to kind of give you I guess a sample of what to expect from Gigabyte, and I expect we'll be doing this for other companies as well in the future, so kind of a preliminary lineup here regarding Z390 and the RTX lineup. So starting first with the motherboards, Gigabyte's taken a unique approach as to how they rank and characterize their products. So for Z390, you'll find that a vast majority of their Aorus boards are actually utilizing the exact same double 12-phase power delivery spec, meaning you shouldn't expect any loss in overclocking potential regardless of the board you pick and the money you spend on that Aorus board. So ultimately, the goal here is to simplify the choice for consumers to more pertinent specifications like onboard Wi-Fi, Crossfire and SLI support, M.2 support, RGB styling, and ultimately price. In fact, the only noteworthy exceptions to this rule are the Aorus Extreme and ITX offerings, the former of which boasts a killer 16-phase 60-amp VRM stack with IR35201 buck controllers in charge of stepping down voltage. So when it comes to motherboard VRMs, this is among the best in the business, but the board itself will cost over 500 USD, so that kind of sucks. Comparable in stats to the MSI Z390 godlike board. So if you want the best in the business, again, you'll have to pay up, though I think a vast majority of consumers will be happy with either the Aorus Master at $289 or the Aorus Pro at a more comfortable $189. I also think the RGB effects on these boards look quite nice. These things are diffused beautifully, and you can get these features in any of the Aorus boards currently offered, though you could settle for Gigabyte variants at lower prices if you are interested. The RGB effects there are much more subtle. But the product that had us all drooling at this event, I mean, seriously, every media guy there was into filming this one specific product here, was the Aorus RTX 2080 card. This shroud will be implemented into all three models, by the way, the 2080 Ti, 2080, and 2070. The styling this time around is much less industrial, emphasizing sharper edges and RGB bling. My favorite part, these fan LEDs. So they work off of, believe it or not, just a single LED each. One fan blade in each section, or each fan, has a built-in RGB LED that can be controlled via Gigabyte software. When the fan spins, this one LED appears to cover the entire circumference of the fan design. It's difficult to convey via camera due to shutter speed issues, but I can assure you that this thing looks incredible in person. Every media attendee, like I said, was captured by this aesthetic. It's such a classy look in an industry filled with RG blah. Now, in addition to this accent, you'll find the colors extended to the Aorus logos both on the side and top behind the backplate, assuming you opt for the Extreme variant. I find the logo up top to be a bit of a waste though, because a car like this should definitely sit with a vertical mount to show off these fans. The effects that can be applied to these, by the way, are practically endless, which is also hard for me to believe because this is just a single LED per fan doing all these different designs, so the LEDs are flashing super fast back and forth to create some of the designs that you're seeing here. And apart from the designs themselves, the card also sports an alternate spinning center fan, which Gigabyte says results in a more effective distribution of air through the shroud. Expect the 2 8-pin supplemental power connectors, by the way, on these things, and a solid cooling solution underneath for temps in the mid-60s under an overclocked load. And I haven't tested this card personally, but those numbers seem about right because Turing is pretty much predictable at this point from a thermal perspective. It is more power limited than anything else, which is a bit disappointing. So this is just a small recap of what we saw in Miami from Gigabyte, and I do plan on saving the remainder of screen time for when we actually have some of these products in hand to test and benchmark, especially that Aorus Extreme card. We'll get more shots of that. I was kind of disappointed I couldn't get as much B-roll as I wanted to show you guys just all the different effects that you could run with that card. It looked really good in person. I think that's one of the things that's really going to come down to at the end of the day is how good good the card looks, because like I said, all RTX cards for the most part are going to perform comparably, because none of them run really hot, at least the third-party coolers made with custom PCBs. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our Z390 coverage when we finally get our hands on some Intel CPU samples. Maybe we'll go out and just buy our own. I think at this point it's what we'll probably have to do, and you'll see those videos on the channel very soon. Thumbs up if you like this one, thumbs down for the complete opposite feeling, click the red subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content like this. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.